The Tennessee Titans yet again had a very disappointing season, finishing the year with a record of 3-14. They missed the playoffs for the third straight season, and this run has just been filled with countless embarrassing moments, including the one that everyone knows about, in them trading AJ Brown to the Eagles, even when the head coach at the time in Mike Vrabel didn't want to. And we've seen how it's turned out, but it really wasn't just one bad trade that has led to where this team is at. It's been a sequence of events that has sent this franchise downhill, and now holding on to the number 1 pick, the Titans find themselves in a bit of a dilemma, because they will have a new guy taking command of this ship in Mike Gorganzi. People are saying that this team wants to do just about anything, and what I mean by that is I've heard numerous reports saying that now the Titans want to trade back, and then I've also heard reports saying that they are set on taking Cam Ward and that they believe he is a generational talent. So there are a lot of ways that this organization can go, and I want to talk about the new direction that Mike Borganzi wants and needs to go to get this team back to where they were 4 or 5 years ago. But before I get into everything, today's video is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University. SNHU has one of the largest nonprofit online degree offerings in the country. It's also super affordable. They have a sports management degree in the business and economics of sports, and their innovative program has been preparing students for careers in sports for more than 25 years. So if you're stuck in a job you hate, or you're just looking to further your knowledge and skills to turn your interests into a career, then SNHU is for you. I would highly suggest you click my link and check out the different programs they have available. Your courses are taught by faculty with real-world experience, so you'll have opportunities to connect with people in the industry. And when you graduate, SNHU will still be there to help as you begin your job hunt. You also might be eligible for financial aid or have previous college credits that could fast-track your degree at SNHU. Again, the link is snhu.edu/Spencer Premier, and it will be at the top of my description. Alright, so right now, as I said, it seems like pretty much everything is on the table. I have to start off this video really taking a deep dive on this number 1 pick situation, because ultimately, what they decide to do might be the biggest decision the Titans make this decade. I think the only reason why you would even consider trading back right now is if you don't believe that Cam Ward is generational. Because at this point, it's safe to say that in next year's draft, we might see a few guys who truly are generational talents. But I still personally am very high on Cam Ward. I think he's projected to pretty much be the undisputed number 1 pick in the draft right now for a reason, and he just has that effortless play style that is similar to Caleb Williams from last year. Obviously, he has his different techniques and style of play, but you don't throw for over 4,000 yards with a 39-7 touchdown to interception ratio for no reason. This is a guy who is as capable as anyone to come in and completely turn a franchise around. So ultimately, it's up to what the front office wants to do. I wouldn't be mad either way because I see the pros and cons, but if it was my decision, I would just go ahead and take Cam Ward because he's there right now. It's not guaranteed that the Titans will have a top 3 pick next year, and it's not guaranteed that Arch Manning will just be sitting there ready to be taken, because literally anything can happen. But Mike Gorganzi did say, when you have the opportunity to trade back for more picks, you have to take it. He said that picks are currency and that he's already received trade calls over the number 1 pick. And I thought it was very smart to say that out loud publicly because it showed the rest of the NFL that they are open for business for that number 1 pick. And back to what I was talking about with that picks are currency, when you have more picks and you are able to bring in more young guys to fill holes in the roster, that opens up more opportunities for spending in free agency, because when you have cheap players that have developing potential, you can also bring in those vets that also can be mentors to the young guys, so it's a win-win. So that's why picks are currency. But alright, enough with that. I think it's clear that the number 1 need and thing to accomplish this offseason is the quarterback situation. And then number 2 is fixing the offensive line, especially at right tackle, because ultimately you can build up the greatest team ever with a ton of young talent, but if you don't have a line and you can't win in the trenches, you're never going to be successful. And we are seeing teams build through the offensive line more and more. I'm not even saying you have to have the greatest offensive line of all time, but you have to be above average. And the Titans, to their credit, tried a ton of different things out to address the poor play on the right side of the offensive line. Unfortunately, none of them really worked. Nicholas Petit-Frere, Jalen Duncan, John Ojukwu, Isaiah Prince, and Leroy Watson were all highly ineffective on the right side. While it seems highly unlikely that they'd spend their top pick on an offensive lineman, obviously, they do have the opportunity to trade back into the first round or take some shots on late round guys to see if they can get lucky and hit on someone. And then another thing that Mike Borganzi needs to start to address is the skill position players. players. This is an area I feel like they could cover a bit in free agency. I'm not saying they need a home run right away, but I think it's obvious if you're going to draft a guy like Cam Ward that you need to give him a go-to weapon to be successful and develop the proper way. You don't just want to throw somebody out into a wildfire with nowhere to go except for Ridley. This draft may be a spot where Borganzi rolls the dice on some prospects who have some upside. Some other positions of need that will at some point need to be addressed but aren't exactly urgent are edge rusher and tight end. The Titans are entering this draft owning a first and second round pick, and then they have 2 fourths, 2 fifths, a 6th, and a 7th. And who knows, they could end up with even more than that, because I think it's clear that Borganzi wants to have as many as possible. I'm not sure if it's going to work right away, but one good thing for the Titans is that it really does seem like Mike Gorganzi has an actual plan in place, and he knows what he wants to do, and he is strategically making every decision he makes around that plan. Because the Will Levis experiment failed, the AJ Brown trade was a failure, so many teams, not even just in the NFL, try to hold on to failed experiments, but it doesn't seem like Mike Gorganzi wants to go on that path. He wants to move on, he wants to start something new. This is what he said: "There is some talent on this roster, but we're a 3-win football team right now. So that's not good enough," he said via team reporter Jim Wyatt. "So we're going to have to look everywhere to improve it. Whether that's upgrading starters, upgrading depth, I'll get to sit down more here with the coaches and get a better understanding of all the players." He also said, "We're going to be disciplined in what we do. We're not going to make rash decisions to try and improve the roster in ways we don't think should happen. We'll supplement in free agency, but we want to build through the draft. We need to build that core foundation of players to really change the culture, and that's what takes a little bit of time." But anyways, now to get more specific and actually get into what players I think the Titans should be aiming to go get in free agency if they can. First, I have Cam Robinson. After spending years as the Jacksonville Jaguars left tackle, Robinson was traded with a 7th round pick to the Minnesota Vikings mid-season for a conditional 4th round pick. On paper, that's a pretty good move for Robinson, as he went from a team fighting for the top overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft to a squad that was a Week 18 win away from having the top seed in the NFC. But there is a problem that could impact Robinson's future in 2025. Minnesota already has a left tackle in Christian Darrisaw and only traded for Robinson because he suffered a season-ending injury in Week 8. So it's almost certain he will test free agency in 2025. The 29-year-old out of Alabama will almost certainly be the top tackle on the open market, and thus should be the Titans' top target too, considering they have a projected $50.7 million available. Next, I think a very realistic target would be Elijah Moore from the Cleveland Browns. He's super speedy, he has a lot of untapped potential, and I feel like Cleveland is a place that nobody wants to be right now. The only real knock on Moore is that up to this point in his career, he's been pretty inconsistent, but I just feel like he needs to be in a stable environment. He needs to be in an environment where he can get a lot of targets, and I would love to see him get the chance to grow behind Calvin Ridley. So if the Titans can go get him, I say do it. It's really going to be interesting to watch how Mike Borganzi rebuilds this team. I think having a vision is really going to pay dividends, but ultimately, the entire rebuild depends on what happens with this #1 pick. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see the Titans do over these next few months, what players you would like to see them draft, and I'm talking beyond just the #1 overall pick. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point in the video, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you'd like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.